It seems to me that we're all deeply addicted, if to nothing else, being the self that we've been. And this is for me, as I look at that, and as I was expressing to you, I'm in a position now where I literally cannot blame a single external thing for any discomfort or dis-ease I have in my own psyche or in my own life. There's nothing I can look at. So it's just a pure mirror looking at myself. But nonetheless, I put myself continually, because I have to acknowledge that it's me putting myself continually into situations where I'm stressed, or situations where I'm melancholy, or situations where I'm just gritting my teeth and thinking that the stakes are, pressing down on me, and things are so difficult that I don't know if I'm going to make it out, or whatever mental construct. And it feels like I'm just addicted to being the self that I was and the self that I learned to be. And I'm trying to get now unaddicted to being that version of myself, and get addicted to being a new version of myself, or at least, have some kind of neutrality where I'm not constantly subconsciously drawn into creating situations that can activate the same neurochemical hormonal cocktails of the old Aubrey.
Yeah, sure. It's that level of self-awareness is both terrifying and freeing, right? Because you can't blame anyone else, and it's not about anything external. It's only about your relationship with you. And you're still going to be, impulsed by your innate biases and however your hardwiring has set you up to, perceive the world. But you get that extra little moment of recognition to course correct, And I would say that I become, I got sober in 98. So I've been in this thing for a long time. And when I came in, I just thought, oh, it's drug addicts and alcoholics. That's what addiction is. But I've become convinced that addiction lives on this massive spectrum. And we are all victims of addiction on some level, some mild and some extreme, from the guy lying in the gutter with a bottle, to the guy who can't pull the needle out of his arm, to the compulsive scrolling while we're taking a shit, or the guy or the woman
deep.
who...
That one runs deep.
Who goes from bad relationship to bad relationship, repeating a certain pattern because there's something about that they can't, there's a compulsivity to that they can't control. So I think thinking about addiction more broadly makes it applicable and instructive and useful for people as they develop enough self-awareness to have objectivity on how they maneuver the world and the daily habits that they continually find themselves, falling prey to, that are leading their lives in the wrong direction.
And the impulse to addiction, the way that we're wired, it doesn't have to all be bad. Because I knew someone, I dated her before I got with my wife, and her name is Maya, and we actually did a podcast on gratitude. And what I found about her is she had a daily gratitude practice that was unbroken for 7 years. And she was addicted to gratitude, like literally addicted to gratitude. And it was amazing. She was such a happy person. And it was like,
I'm so jealous.
Yeah, exactly. But she forged that addiction.
But it is a practice, right?
Absolutely.
So it didn't come, she didn't necessarily wake up feeling grateful, but by dint of, her allegiance to that practice becomes that which she aspired to become.
And it was a 30-minute practice. Like it was like a legit practice that she did. And there was different versions. It wasn't the same thing every day. She had a whole curriculum that she had developed, and being grateful for different aspects of her life. Sometimes it was air, sometimes it was money itself, sometimes it was love, and there was different practices. A lot involved journaling, but really feeling it. And it obviously she chose that because at some point prior to that, she wasn't feeling grateful. She was solving a problem.
Right.
And she just chose a solution that she could become addicted to. That's pretty much, if we're going to choose something, I mean, that's the best
that's a pretty good one to latch on to.
Yeah, exactly. And so that's possible with the same mechanism that drives people to all of the things that you mentioned prior. The same mechanism can kick in and get you addicted to those things. Or perhaps in your case, you became addicted to running and triathlons.
Yeah. I mean, I think it's important to frame addiction in the context of behaviors that are leading towards some negative outcome in your life. Like, yes, you can have an addictive relationship with something that's good, but the pernicious kind of definition of addiction would be something that you continually repeat in your life that is wreaking havoc or causing problems for you. But yeah, I mean, people say to me, oh, you got into ultra endurance sports and you just, shifted from one addiction to the next. And I'm like, yeah, probably. Like they're expecting me to fight back on that. And I'm like, no, I acknowledge that. But I will say that there's a qualitative difference in that pivot, which I've gone through phases of obsession with, I'm not obsessed with it now, moved my life in a positive direction. And we're more like spiritual odysseys of self-discovery than ego-driven or performance-oriented.
Or escapism.
Yeah. I mean, there's an escapist element to it, I think. But what's particular to endurance sports, especially ultra-endurance sports, is you're forced to spend an unbelievable amount of time alone. And I was going through a lot of existential angst at the time that I was heavily involved in that, because I had problems that I was trying to solve about who I wanted to be and what I was here to do. And I wasn't finding ready answers to those questions. But all of that solace that came with hours and hours on the bike or trail running or what have you, allowed me to kind of, allowed all of that to percolate, and ultimately have kind of led to everything that I've been able to create and manifest as a result.